The old barn had stood on the edge of the farmland for decades, its wooden beams darkened by time, dust, and forgotten memories. High in the rafters, hidden between broken boards and hanging ropes, a baby barn owl waited quietly for its mother to return. Its soft white feathers moved gently with each breath, and its large dark eyes followed every shadow that crossed the ceiling. The world felt safe up there, until one small mistake changed everything. A thin strand of fishing line, left behind by someone careless, hung loosely from one of the beams. When the baby owl tried to flutter closer to its nest, the invisible line wrapped around its wing. At first, it felt strange. Then it tightened. The more the owl struggled, the more it cut into its feathers, pulling it off balance until it was hanging helplessly in the air. Tiny, frightened cries echoed through the empty barn as it tried again and again to free itself. Outside, the mother owl returned from hunting, a small mouse in her beak. She flew into the barn, expecting to see her baby waiting. Instead, she froze in horror. Her child was tangled in fishing line, wings twitching, eyes wide with fear. She dropped the food and rushed forward, flying in desperate circles around her trapped baby, calling out again and again, but she could not cut the line. She could not pull it away. All she could do was watch as her baby grew weaker with every passing moment. The barn was filled with panic and quiet suffering until the door creaked open below. A farmer stepped inside to check his tools before nightfall. As he walked across the dusty floor, he heard a strange sound above him. A soft, frightened screech. He stopped, slowly looked up, and saw something that made his heart sink. High in the rafters, a baby owl was tangled in fishing line, fighting for its life, while its mother flew helplessly nearby. The farmer didn't hesitate. He grabbed the old wooden ladder leaning against the wall and began to climb. Each step made the wood creak as dust floated through beams of golden evening light. The mother owl watched him closely, wings half open, unsure if this human was a threat, but knowing she had no other choice. When the farmer reached the rafters, he could see how badly the baby owl was trapped. The thin line was wrapped tightly around its wing and chest. Some feathers were bent, and the tiny bird was trembling from pain and exhaustion. The farmer spoke softly, even though the owl couldn't understand. "It's okay. I'm here." He gently supported the baby owl's body with one hand and took out a small pocket knife with the other. Slowly, carefully, he began cutting the fishing line. One strand snapped. Then, another. The owl twitched, frightened, and the mother flew closer, crying out in fear. But the farmer stayed calm. His hands never shook. With one final cut, the last piece of fishing line fell away. The baby owl was free. The farmer carefully lifted the tiny bird and climbed back down the ladder, holding it close so it wouldn't fall. He knelt on the barn floor and placed the owl gently on a bed of soft hay. The little bird was shaking, weak and scared, but it was alive. The mother owl landed nearby, watching closely, touching her baby gently with her beak. Slowly, the owl's breathing became calm. It tried to move its wing. It hurt, but it worked. That meant it would heal. Golden sunlight filled the barn as fear turned into quiet relief. The farmer stood back, giving the owls their space. He had done what he came to do. Now, nature would take over. As the sun began to set, the baby owl stepped outside the barn. The open field stretched wide beneath a glowing sky. The mother stood beside her child, watching proudly. Slowly, the baby lifted its wing and began to flap. Once, twice. Then the baby owl jumped forward and lifted into the air. Its flight was shaky at first, but it stayed up. The mother flew beside it, guiding and protecting until the two became silhouettes against the golden sky. The farmer watched silently as they disappeared into the distance. A small life had been saved, not by magic, but by someone who chose to stop and care.